Arnold made use of the latest invention when it comes to communication. He invested in and established the printing press and used print media to spread the good news to as many people as possible. In our mission today, I am inspired by Father Arnold's example to use the latest communication technology that goes beyond borders and helps us overcome distance and differences in time and language to reach people anywhere in the world.
He used the given situations as opportunities to start something new, something unimaginable in human standards. This is what we need to do in today's context, especially when everything is stuck and all that we are asked is to sit inside and stay safe. Should we really sit inside or, like St. Arnold, explore newer ways to preach the gospel?
St. Arnold was ahead of his time, fearless and going ahead with communications to reach as many people as possible long before our modern methods. This inspires me to do many things to reach out to people everywhere and to tell them the good news of Jesus.
I am very much inspired by St. Arnold's resiliency, perseverance, and dedication as a professor, and his innovation in the area of communication, as well as by his apostolic zeal.
St. Arnold reminded me that the most important is prayer, is give time before I do my work, my mission, because this is not my mission, but mission of God.
For a couple of months, I've been learning to wait and be patient. In this waiting, our founder, St. Arnold, has been a great inspiration for me because of his faith in the loving presence of God in every situation. He was convinced that if something is in accord with God's will, ways and means of accomplishing it will be found.
I admire in our founder St. Arnold Janssen his missionary zeal, which gave birth to our 3 mission congregations. Bless us, St. Arnold Janssen.
One thing that I have learned during this pandemic as it pertains to St. Arnold Janssen is not allowing the difficulties in communication to affect my ability to assist in sharing the gospel and sharing the message of SSpS.
St. Arnold Janssen had given us a good example how to face the uncertainties and challenging situations. The first and foremost is to be still, optimistic, have deep faith in God's care and providence.
Father Arnold believes strongly that the will of God presents in the reality of our life. Therefore, COVID pandemic doesn't stop us from doing what we can in creative ways to respond to the needs of the people around us.
As we discern ways to be relevant in mission during this time of global crisis, I am inspired by Father Arnold's creativity and persistence. He did not give up in the face of huge obstacles, believing that he was fulfilling God's will.
Father Arnold is an inspiration for me in his trust. Once he wrote to a missionary, "If I had so little trust to God, I would destroy myself and I wouldn't achieve so much." His heart was in heaven as he was performing the work God entrusted to him.
For me, St. Arnold Janssen is a courageous man who was a bright light of his time. He who offered his whole life to God's mission has deep faith in God. He who prepared a lot of missionaries and sent out to the different countries to spread good news.
His awareness of God's presence in his life was always manifested in his prayers, actions, and decision-making. He believed that if something is according to God's will, ways and means to accomplish it will be found. His wish was that the divine word be reborn in us so we can become ever more daughters of God.
At this time of global crisis, I am inspired by our founder, Arnold Janssen. He said, sufferings and crosses are a hard shell containing a sweet fruit.
Difficult situations made St. Arnold rise up to do something for the world, a testimony of life that attracted me to dare to start, dare to enter into difficult situations, and always believe God will help me in various ways.
What inspires me about Father Arnold, especially in this time after the pandemic of the coronavirus, is that his spirit of saying to respond to God's will according to the means of time.
Father Arnold Janssen inspires me as coordinator of communication in the midst of this uncertainty situation. I constantly deepen my communion with God and trusting everything in His care.
How do you get one full day in a meaningful way in this corona time? Arnold Janssen inspired me. Ora et labora, pray and work. We always try to keep these two things in balance. But today, more pray. Pray more intensively to God to free all nations from this virus. Thanks also to the social media which help us to keep in touch with other people in different way.
I am inspired by Father Arnold Janssen's spirituality to trust God completely and work without fear for the mankind. I am as a communication coordinator, also work as a nurse in the hospital.
I think Father Arnold would tell me that Jesus Christ is still unknown, so I shouldn't give up on saving souls.
Arnold was a man of prayer and faith, and in every situation he sought the will of God. During this COVID-19, I realized no human effort can save us from COVID-19, but only God's intervention through our deep faith.
I am inspired by the quote of Arnold Janssen about the Lord challenged our faith to do something new, preciously, when so many things are collapsing in the church. This is inspired me how I can deepen, grow, and sharing our faith with others during this pandemic time.
The inspiration I draw from Father Arnold during this COVID-19 pandemic is his intimate relationship with God, his prayer life, his tenacity of purpose. When he wants to do something, he keeps faith with God to continue, and his humility to accept the will of God for his life.
Arnold Janssen is a great inspiration for all of us. As he said, we should live in the signs of times, living in this present reality of pandemic where social distancing and staying at home have become the new normal. May he continue to guide, inspire and motivate us in our missions.
Father Arnold grew in love to the Word of God. For thousands of his spiritual sons and daughters, it is precious spiritual heritage. Today, when we all experience the consequences of coronavirus, when so many people feel lonely, feel sad, we, the missionaries, use different ways to reach to them. We are able to do it when we are faithful in listening to the Word of God, the only Word who can give hope to the people.
What inspires me about Father Arnold today in the context of COVID-19 pandemic is his unwavering faith and trust in God's providence. No matter what situation he found himself in, he never lost hope and he never gave in to frustration and despair.
May the example of life of Saint Arnold Janssen, who has the strong faith and believes in the will of God, will inspire us, especially in facing the current difficult situation, namely COVID-19.